Hey, what's up, guys? All right, so another Q&A session going live. If this is your first time, so really this is just kind of a hangout. I answer questions as they come in, and so feel free to send in your questions, and I will answer them. We'll talk a bit, and but yeah, really just something I do every week: hang out with everyone, answer questions, and just give you guys some updates. So let's do it. How's everyone doing? I'm Johnathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can magnetize your ideal life. So hope you guys are doing well. Let's see here. Had an acupuncture session this morning. It was really nice. Feeling good today. Spending some time in nature, just kind of having a mellow day today. It's been nice just to kind of recharge and not be too busy, right? Okay, so the first question here is, does semen retention make your body hair grow more, like in the chest area? There is a link between the hair growth that you experience, and this can be related to hormone levels and also the resources your body has available. So there can be, I have a friend who claims that practicing semen retention is what caused him to start growing a beard because he couldn't before, right? Because there's a link between like your testosterone levels and hair growth. It's like, because practicing semen retention affects your testosterone levels, it boosts your testosterone. So this can lead to increased hair growth. And also one of the factors in hair growth is again, how many resources your body has available to it, right? The minerals and nutrients. When you're always ejaculating, the body is putting its priority on creating new semen. So if you're like really in a depleted state, it's going to be pulling resources from the rest of your body, from your hair and things like that potentially. And so when you're not in depletion mode because you're retaining your semen and you're living a healthy lifestyle, then you have an abundance of these resources basically, right, for the body to put in these things. So there can be some connection. It can also be genetics, stress. There's a lot of factors. It's not, semen retention isn't everything. It's part of a holistic lifestyle, right? But it's not going to, do everything for you. Okay, the next question here is, how long of a time period should you go without ejaculating to normalize or balance that habit? It really depends. It depends what your goals are. It depends what you're trying to accomplish. In general, I recommend most men go at least a week without ejaculating. As for like there's kind of different cycles. There's different phases in the journey, right? Again, it comes down to what your goals are. If you're like really, really depleted, you've been ejaculating every day for years, for a decade or more, like a lot of men have, then you're going to want to really limit the ejaculations that you have for, maybe a few years. It took me several years to really rebuild my gene, rebuild my vitality from all the reckless spending I was doing in my teenage years and my 20s. But as far as like just kind of maintenance, we could say you have to kind of listen to your body, see what works best for you. Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month during sex, right, is the best time if you're going to ejaculate. So, in general, if you ejaculate and you feel completely fatigued and exhausted, like wiped out the next day, then you should definitely go for longer. So yeah. Okay, how ejaculation affects your kidneys. So it's not really energetically. So in Chinese medicine, the kidney system is the battery of the body, so to speak, and it's generating our sexual energy. Our gene is stored in the kidneys. The gene is your physical essence. It's kind of this dense, lower frequency, not lower frequency in a bad way, but just more dense, and that's closer to the physical manifestation, right? That's what the gene is. So it's our physical essence that's creating our bodies. We're born with a certain amount of it, and how we use it's up to us, right? And if you run out of it, you die. But you can also do things to supplement your gene. But so in relation to your sexual experiences, right? It's not so much the physical kidneys that are affected, right? It's more the energetic quality, the kidney energy, which is what ejaculation will deplete. Because again, in Chinese medicine, they consider the kidney system to be basically all the fluid producing systems of the body. So the kidney system in Chinese medicine includes the genitals, the bladder, the blood in the body, the bone marrow, these are all part of the kidney system. And so these fluids, right, which kind of store minerals, it's like the blood of the body, all the nutrients, and the semen is a very refined area of that. So basically excessive ejaculation drains your kidney essence, it drains your jing, it drains your core vitality, which relates to your overall energy levels. So if you like wake up in the morning, you have a really hard time getting out of bed, even though you've gotten a full night of sleep, you need like coffee to get going. This is a sign of kidney energy deficiency, right? So this excessive ejaculation taps out your kidneys energetically. Okay, the next question. What is your take on penis rings? I don't think they're a very good idea. I think people use these to like kind of mechanically force blood to stay in their penis so they can hold an erection, but it's not, you can injure yourself with them basically because it's not natural to like force blood to stay in an area of the body for a long period of time. You can get all kinds of issues from these. So I don't recommend them. If you have poor quality erections, then look into your diet, your exercise, and learn to increase the circulation in your penis in a holistic way. That's my take on it. Do you keep your microcosmic orbit activated with your tongue? Your tongue, I think you meant tongue, while having sex. So I think the question is, do you keep your tongue against the roof of the mouth during sex? It varies. Obviously, if you're like, kissing your partner, you're not gonna be able to keep your tongue against the roof of your mouth the whole time. Just in general, as you're circulating through the orbit during sex, I often do keep my tongue's naturally up there actually pretty much all day because of my practice. After placing it there consciously, connecting the do and the ren meridians in the body, the microcosmic orbit, it just became natural to me. So it's up to you. Just as you think about it, you can place it there. Okay, how is being with someone different with porn and jerking off? Okay, so I think the question is what's different about is your question what's different about being with someone in real life, like a real sexual connection versus just watching porn and jerking off? I think that's what you're asking. Major difference. The difference is that when you're just sitting at your computer watching porn, you're bonding with an electronic screen. You're bonding with this false image. Where are you sending your sexual energy out to? You don't really know where it's going. The quality of sexual energy is that it glues you to things. It bonds you to wherever you're focused on when you're aroused, when you're activating this sexual energy. This is the problem: is that many people are bonding themselves to porn, and this energy is going somewhere, right? And there's this theory that there's this entity, this astral entity, that's basically eating people's sexual energy because they're sending it freely, making this super powerful entity that's kind of driving, this dark force driving the porn industry, the human trafficking on this planet. So, and when you're sitting on a computer, usually, you get this instant gratification, this instant dopamine release in your brain. When you're watching porn, you just get all this dopamine released into your brain. It's this instant gratification. So you get trained to sit here and stare at an electronic screen for gratification. This trains you to become addicted to these weird technological devices. It's just a very strange dynamic that is causing a lot of mental, emotional, even physical health issues for people now. It's getting very extreme. Porn addiction is becoming a real problem on this planet. And the difference between being with a real life person is that you're actually with a person. You're having this energetic exchange. When you're watching porn, it's a one-way exchange. You send your energy off, it's gone. You're draining yourself and bonding to that pattern. But when you're with a human being, you're exchanging your yin yang energies, you're connecting, from the sexual level, hopefully from the heart as well. It's a whole different dynamic. You're building up energy together and exchanging it. It's a completely different dynamic than having a sexual relationship with a computer. Okay, the top tips for premature ejaculation. Well, make sure you take my ejaculation control course. I have a link to it in my Instagram bio and my YouTube videos as well. But basically, to be able to keep yourself in the parasympathetic state is one of the main factors of ejaculation control. Because for a man, ejaculation it's a function of your sympathetic nervous system. So when you're really tense, when you're stressed out, you have all this tension in your body, you're already in that sympathetic fight or flight mode, and therefore ejaculation happens very quickly. I think this is the main cause for most men. So the easiest way to get out of this is to be able to relax your body, relax your mind. And an easy way to do this is to regulate your breathing, deep, slow abdominal breathing. Keeping that breath really smooth and deep and slow is one of the easiest ways to keep you in that parasympathetic state. What is the reason I do acupuncture? Because acupuncture is a great modality. It's a great healing modality. And obviously, I mostly rely on my practice to keep myself balanced, healthy, and everything balanced. But sometimes you just need a neutral, a third party to really look and see, like, okay, what are your patterns? Because I have my patterns, I have my imbalances, like everyone. I tend to run a bit hot, to get a bit overheated, have a lot of heat that builds up because I'm doing so much energy practices, and I work hard throughout the week. So I tend to build up a bit of heat that kind of rises up in my body, and that's the main thing I was clearing today with my acupuncture session. Is stress before sex a common thing amongst your clients? Definitely. I mean, it's common for a lot of men, is this performance anxiety, which, ironically, that is enough to cause erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation, this kind of worry, stage fright, we could say. It gets up into your head, you tense up, and it puts you in the fight or flight mode. So that's why sexual kung fu training is about learning to, it's a lot of mental training. It's a lot of mind, body, energy, body training to be able to manage these, fears, these nervousness that arises, and to release that. So you develop a confidence. So when you go into the bedroom with a lover, you know that you're on your game, basically, right? Okay, after I started semen retention, some completely new sexual fantasies have come to surface. Is that common? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, is when you practice semen retention, you're building up more sexual energy. So if you're not transmuting that energy, it's going to feed your sex drive, and you're going to be thinking about sex a lot more. It's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just what happens. So that's why it's important to be doing energetic practices where you're directly channeling this energy upward in the body, transmuting that energy into a different form. So instead of just feeling really horny all the time, you feel, bring it up to the heart, develop your compassion, your loving energy, the radiant field of your heart, which is 10 to 50 times more powerful than your brain, right? Bring it up into your crown to enhance your spiritual path. You can bring it into other organs in the body for various purposes. But so yeah, it's common, but you really want to be circulating that energy, in my opinion, if you're doing semen retention. Okay, what do you think about women's sexuality? Should they also have less orgasm? What are their benefits, and are there any studies? So I think this question comes up pretty much every session. So sorry if this is redundant to some people, but so for women, the focus isn't so much on limiting orgasm. Women don't lose energy through orgasm the way men do, because men, it's the ejaculation. They're releasing their semen, which is super concentrated in nutrients, minerals. It's a man's life force. Whereas for women, when they orgasm, even if they have, an ejaculatory orgasm, it's just this watery fluid. There's not this concentrated life force in them. So it's not such a big deal for women. But for women, it's the menstrual cycle that can deplete their genes. So there's practices for women to reduce the intensity of the menstrual cycle so that they don't rely on the physical blood to pull out the negativity that they're clearing with the cycle. They can do it without that, so that they have a less severe menstrual cycle. So that's the practice for women. When I bring awareness to the pelvis area and relax my muscles, just let go, I get a super tingly feeling, the same you get in your balls when the roller coaster drops down. Is this a sexual exercise? I mean, in some ways, you're activating your sexual center, and this is one of the big keys, is relaxing this area. I was amazed when I started doing this work how much tension I constantly had in my pelvic floor area. Like, notice right now. Notice, what does your pelvic floor feel like? Are you tensing it? Like you're holding back urine. A lot of the work for men, especially in learning to have non-ejaculatory orgasms and develop ejaculation control, is to release these chronic tension patterns in the pelvic floor. And that starts to free up the sexual energy. So yeah, when you focus on this area and completely relax and let go, you activate that sexual energy. You will have these subtle orgasmic feelings that, can be amplified. Got my power herbal tea here. Okay, this question is, if you are having sexual dreams without wet dreams, is this a sign that your sexual kung fu skills are improving? I think it's definitely a good sign that you're kind of, even your subconscious mind is kind of reframing its experience of sexuality. But, you know, at the same time, it's kind of random. Like you'll have periods of time where, yeah, you have a sexual dream without any ejaculation, and maybe a year later you have a sexual dream and you do ejaculate in it, right? It's just, I don't know. But I think it is a good sign that even your subconscious mind is starting to take this seriously, right? Okay, could you tell us more about your program, about the content, and how you do your teaching? I have several programs available. The main one I'm offering is my Multi-Orgasmic Man 6-week course. This is a complete guide to become a multi-orgasmic man, to gain a deeper connection with your sexual energy, which requires the foundational work that I teach in the course, which is developing the energy centers of the body, clearing out negative patterns, clearing out tension patterns that are, you know, stuck in place, that are keeping you glued to your old sexual habits, opening up the energy pathways of the body so you can have a new pathway to express sexual energy in. You learn how to ground that energy so that you can hold a powerful charge of arousal and high sexual energy without needing to ejaculate it out. And then you learn how to circulate your sexual energy directly through your body, have non-ejaculatory orgasms, bring that orgasm into your organs, your brain, you know, exchange it consciously with the partner. You learn how ejaculation control, how you can have sex for hours without ejaculating. So that's my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. I also have my Immortal Energy Arts online academy, which is an in-depth system training in internal energy arts, energy cultivation, so Qigong, Xingyi, Tai Chi, meditation, basically how to really, really, really activate your Qi to the level where it's like extremely tangible, like you feel blasts of electricity moving through your body. You know, this is what happens when you get the real internal energy training. So that's my Immortal Energy Arts Academy and my 6-week course. So they're different, you know, but they are very powerful. I'm having a lot of, okay, next question here. I'm having a lot of trouble trying to do reverse Kegels. Any recommendation? I also feel my pelvic floor area is quite tight and I have troubles trying to start peeing. So the reverse Kegel, I mean, it's really simple as, you know, imagine you're trying to push out a poop. You know, place your fingers in your pelvic floor area, do that engagement. So you engage your abs, kind of like you're pushing something out, and you feel them you feel the pelvic floor muscles expand. So now you know that's the engagement, right? Don't do it too intensely, but just start kind of mildly. And you can also do it in a way where you just barely do this, a very slight engagement, that reverse Kegel engagement. So you very slightly push and just feel like everything's lengthening and expanding in your pelvic floor. Really anchor your mind into that area to feel that expansion. And even just relaxation exercises, like you lay on the ground, you know, you can do like progressive relaxation where you tighten everything and release it. And then once your whole body's relaxed, focus on that pelvis area, your pelvic floor area. Take a deep breath, and with each exhale, feel like it's melting. All the muscles, all the tension is like melting and releasing. It's like melting into the earth. And just see how deep of a release you can get in that area. I also recommend using a tennis ball for a massage. You can, you know, get a tennis ball and sit with it under your perineum, the soft area, and just sit on that for a little bit. It'll sink up into the pelvic floor and it'll acupress the prostate area and help. You can kind of move it a little bit and it'll kind of trigger point release some of those tight patterns in your pelvic floor. But yeah, super common for men, I mean, for everyone to have very tight pelvic floor. If a man lives in sexual excess for a while and then begins strict retention, what do you think he should expect in terms of recovery? So I guess I'm guessing you're saying if a man's ejaculated every day for, you know, years and then he goes into retention, what kind of recovery he's going to have? It's not going to be overnight, but you will start to really notice a increase in your vitality, increase in your energy, your sex drive, your sexuality, your testosterone starts to increase. How long this takes is going to vary. there's a lot of factors in it: your diet, your genetics, your overall health, your age. These all impact it. But in general, I think within a week, you'll notice some significant changes, and it'll, when you get to 2 weeks, a month, it'll really, really, you'll experience more benefits as well: more energy, more vitality, more confidence, more just that drive, right? Is there a way to recover faster from a flat line? If you don't know what that is, it's a phase where you don't have any sexual drive. I've been without a sex drive for over a year. That's a long time. Again, it depends on your month. Depends on your age. There can be a lot of other factors to it, right? See, my thing with retention is I don't think trying to go forever is necessarily a good idea, because there's this kind of sweet spot in having a retention cycle. Because if you retain more than 2 to 3 months, then usually your hormones actually start to decrease. Your sperm quality actually reduces, your testosterone lower. So it's like the body kind of goes into atrophy, your endocrine system. So, me personally, I retain in cycles. My cycle is 4 to 6 weeks, and then I release during sex with my partner. And this is the best for me. I feel the most energized, the most benefits overall by following this cycle. So if you're going really, really long periods of time, it could just kind of be endocrine system atrophy. But it could be a lot of other factors, like, are you eating healthy? Are you sleeping? Are you stressed out? These are all going to affect. Are you exercising? So there's many factors, and your sex drive is really it's an indicator of your overall physical health and vitality, right? Because the body doesn't have the resources just to keep itself at a baseline, right? Then it's not going to have the resources to invest in sex, sexual desire. It's kind of it's a sign of abundance, right? So, and that brings us to this next question, which is, what are some exercises to increase kidney energy? So how do you increase your vitality, basically your sexual energy, your sex drive, your overall energy levels in the body? Some exercises, overall exercise is great, like getting, cardio exercise, weightlifting, these things are great. But specifically for building the kidneys like stillness. So meditation, like really sinking down into the lower centers of your body. The Dantian building meditation is actually fantastic. I just made a new video on that on YouTube, it's a great method. Oh, losing Instagram. What else? Yeah, the Dantian building practice will really, really build that kidney energy, boost your sexual vitality. Qigong is a great exercise for building that kidney gene, rebuilding that vitality. So Qigong, the Dantian building practice. Again, the kidneys like stillness. We have too much movement in our life, too much action. When you're stressed out, when you're living in fear, which a lot of people are right now, it taps out that kidney energy, that sexual vitality. So try to have some stillness, some calmness, and don't focus on fearful things in your life right now, right? You can take some herbs to boost them as well. Some Chinese herbs, kidney yin boosting herbs, things like Rehmannia, Hisho Wu, goji berries, black sesame seeds, cordyceps are really, really great kidney boosters. Okay. Some people have told me that psychedelics drain OHA's gene, life force, energy. Is this true? I'm on a good semen retention streak, and I wanted to do some shrooms tomorrow for introspection. Is it a bad idea? Yes, psychedelics do. They burn up some of your gene to feel those states. So it's true, because it's the body's burning its resources to fuel these high spiritual states you get into, and then you crash back down. Sometimes you feel really drained. I noticed the last time I had some of these psychoactive substances, I felt really depleted for like days afterwards. So it is what it is. Sometimes, it can be worth it, because you can get a lot of insight, spiritual growth, overall growth from these things, but it does burn up some of your energy. So it's just like, obviously you don't want to do it every day, but like here and there, it can be beneficial. It really depends, but right now where I'm at, my journey is I'm really about getting to these higher states through meditation, internal alchemy, Qigong, getting high naturally instead of relying on these external things. But everything in moderation. Okay, this question: do I eat fried foods of any kind with my diet? If I do, what are some healthy foods? I avoid fried foods, like deep fried foods. It makes me feel terrible when I eat those, so I just don't eat them anymore. Since committing to a lot of the practices in your course, I've been having more wet dreams. Could they be related? Once I had 3 in 1 week at 42 years old. There's many factors to wet dreams. The thing is that when you're doing the sexual kung fu work, it can really, really boost your sexual energy and your sex drive. So that can be what's happening. Or another thing that happens is you have these unresolved sexual desires, right? Which can happen when you're building your sexual energy through retention, and that leads to a release in your sleep because you're not really bringing that arousal to a sense of completion in another way, right? So it's difficult to say, but check out my videos on wet dreams and give you my best advice for overcoming them, basically. Speaking of gene building herbs, this is my herbal tea I've been drinking. It's Rehmannia, prepared Rehmannia, Schizandra, astragalus root, reishi mushrooms, red jujube dates, longan fruit, and ginger. It's pretty potent. Okay, this question, it feels like certain people are stealing my chi energy. Can you suggest me something? Okay, so you're feeling drained by your environment or by people around you. So this is, a big thing on the planet right now is that most people are going through this planet, they're asleep. They're unaware of that. They're acting, they're under hypnosis, basically. They're staring at a television screen every day that's programming them what to believe, what to think, what to say. They're just regurgitating these things. They are completely unaware of the energetic engagements they're involved in, dumping negativity on others, latching out, kind of courting and pulling other people's energy in. We live in an unconscious world. So yes, it's good to have some basic energetic management tools, right? I made a really great video on my YouTube, how to clear your aura, how to clear your energy field. It's a great exercise I recommend using every day. But in general, just be aware, when you're out in public, when you're around someone, root into the earth, ground into the earth, just be aware of your energy body, like kind of pull it into a manageable size around your body. And if you feel like someone's courting into you, they often like court into your solar plexus, your dantian. Obviously, you need some sensitivity to be able to tell if this is happening, but you can kind of, there's some tools you can use to kind of work with this. We're kind of getting into more esoteric things here, but one thing I really recommend, I've got a crystal right here. Use a crystal for protection going out in the world. So you hold the crystal, get like a nice clear quartz, you hold it and almost like it's projecting. So the quartz projects out, and see it like in front of you. It's just this giant crystal, and see yourself stepping inside of it. So it's like your energy body stepping into that crystal, and now you're inside of your crystal, carry it with you, and just kind of intend that any negativity coming at you, the crystal holds on to it, and then clear it regularly, wash it in the water, leave it out on the earth for a few hours, have a protection crystal. That's a really simple way to navigate with this. But in general, it just really takes having some energetic skills. I teach this stuff in my course, how to really build your energy body, your microcosmic orbit, your pathways of energy, so that you've got this thing going on. Most people have this, their energy is going out here, it's going out there. But when you get this orbiting energy flow going, you recycle, recontain your energy, and energy coming at you kind of gets, hit off. But grounding is a huge thing. Connecting to the earth helps you avoid taking these things on from other people. Okay, this question: do condoms lower the potency of sexual exchange, and what methods of contraception do you recommend? Condoms do block it a bit. I don't love condoms, but I love that, they protect from unwanted pregnancy, right? Or whatever else, if you're sleeping around, protect you from STIs, right? So it's kind of a trade-off. So my partner and I, we mostly rely on being aware of her cycles. A woman can only get pregnant when she's ovulating, right? So when my partner's in her ovulation cycle, we use a condom just to be careful. Other than that, just rely on semen retention. But do your own research. I don't recommend like birth control pills, shots, things like that, IUDs. They can have very negative consequences on the body. So yeah. You often say to be careful with whom you sleep with because you exchange energy. what would happen if you were to sleep with a porn star? Well, depends on who that porn star was, I'm sure. Maybe there's some, who are like really energetically clear, right? But yeah, a lot of them have, drug problems, drug addictions, and a lot of, so yeah, you shouldn't sleep with anyone who you wouldn't want to be, because you absorb their patterns, you absorb their karma, you absorb their ancestors' karma. It's a real serious exchange going on. So for me, it's not like morality, like you should only be with one person or you're going to hell. It's not like that. It's just like, this is what happens when you sleep with a lot of people, is you have more information to process, right? It's not good or bad. It's just what it is. So, be mindful of that, basically. I've been doing brahmacharya for a year, but I still do not know how to control this intense energy. Yeah, learn to transmute it, move it through your body. Check out my YouTube videos on the microcosmic orbit and testicle breathing. You need to practice to do this. Otherwise, you're just building all this energy up and it starts to control you. Retention is only the beginning, but without energetic skill, it can become very, very imbalanced, because this energy just builds up and like it kind of turns you into a weirdo sometimes, right? What are the best sex positions on semen retention, or what's the best procedure with your partner? So best sex positions, I'm guessing you mean like to control your ejaculation during sex. I made a YouTube video on this, but basically, it's important to understand that for a man, okay, this is the penis, okay? Here's my penis. Well, this isn't my penis, but it's a little bigger, right? Here's the frenulum. So this is the head. This area right here is the most sensitive part. The area underside the head, the frenulum, is the most sensitive part. It's basically the ejaculation trigger of the penis. So any position that avoids this area being stimulated excessively is going to help you last longer. So if you're on top, you can kind of control the angle. If your partner's on top, you can have them kind of move in a way that's not super stimulating on this. Doggy style type positions tend to put a lot of pressure here, so they're more stimulating. So if you can't handle it, I would avoid that position. So yeah. And starting slow. If you're just learning ejaculation control, start out sex very slow. The first 5 to 6 minutes are usually the most difficult if you're sensitive, but after that, you kind of get in the flow, you relax, and you can kind of really get into it, right? It takes training. Can you give a source for your hormones atrophying a few months of abstaining? I can only find studies that show testosterone, everything increases. This was my own experience, and I have seen a few studies that showed this. I can't, off the top of my head, remember where they are. I think someone on a Reddit or something posted this, but again, it's like whatever. It's important to find what works for you, what makes you feel the best. I did the like super, super long-term retention thing, and again, my sex energy actually started dropping after a certain period of time. And so that's why I'm in a cycle that I'm in now. I've been doing this for 7 years, okay? And in the beginning, I noticed the longer I went, the better I felt. But there was probably 3 to 4 years in, everything just kind of plateaued, where it was like after a week, I was like at high benefits and kind of stayed there. And my sexual kung fu practice changed a lot, because if I do ejaculate now, I don't really lose energy, because I know how to draw that energy out and like work with the Dantian in a way that's really building this gene constantly. So when you're doing this for a long period of time, when you really get deep into energetic practices, it kind of changes how things are. You know what I mean? So it becomes more of a balancing act at that point. So just if whatever feels best for you is best, right? Whatever makes you feel balanced, is great. You have to be your own teacher. Like there's always going to be this information out here that, contradicts things. So it's like experiment, see what works best for you. That's what I do. I don't just like list, okay, this person said that, it must be true. This scientific study, it must be true. I observe, I practice. I'm kind of I'm very practical in that way, that I have to experience something to, believe it. Would a condom protect you from taking on someone's karma energies, which you spoke about? No, because it's a very deep energetic exchange. Condoms don't block the exchange of sexual energy, maybe very, very mildly, but no, it's not going to stop that from happening. Is it true that eating fruits and vegetables the same colors as your chakra points is good for balancing and charging them up? That's what I've heard. I don't know. I haven't seen any scientific studies proving this, but no one's really doing science on the chakra system much, are they? I don't know. If it feels right for you, then do it. I mean, I think in general, it is good to eat, the rainbow diet, right? Eating all different colors, because colors are representing different minerals, different nutrients in the foods. If you eat the same foods every day, this is one of the things that can lead to certain diseases, because you're not getting. The body likes a variety of things, eating seasonally, different foods in different seasons versus just eating the same things every day. So it's good to eat a variety of different vegetables, fruits, whatever, of different colors anyway. Does Qigong clean and protect you from filthy energy? It definitely helps. Qigong is, again, I practice Qigong every day for hours because I love it. That's one of the things I loved about it, is it really clears me out, clears out my energetic system. When I used to be a full-time musician, I was out playing in bars and clubs, and I didn't even drink at the time. I was just like around all these drunk people, I'm playing my music, and I just felt like I really took on a lot of stuff. I would come home, do my Qigong practice, and just like clear all that stuff out. So Qigong is a powerful tool for self-clearing and energy management. How to stop edging. If you don't want to do edging, then don't do it. Find something else to do with your time. Find something else productive to put your time into that you enjoy, something else that gives you that natural high. Are there any places online where you can buy some of the herbs and gene building supplements you use? Yeah, there's lots of places. Lost Empire Herbs has some great herbs. Dragon Herbs is probably my favorite. They have a really amazing selection of herbs, and they're super high quality. Like, they have a lot of their herbs are grown in Chengbai Mountain in China, which is it's a volcanic soil, really, really nice soil, really good qi in the land. They're all organic, super high quality supplements. I love Dragon Herbs stuff. I'm interested in your internal arts academy, but I struggle to do all the practices. I've been off work for almost a year. How do you find the time and remember everything? Well, the thing isn't that you feel like I have to do every single practice every day. The thing is that you have your 30 minutes of practice a day, your hour practice a day, even your 20 minutes of practice a day, and have something, from the courses or whatever that you're doing for that time. It doesn't matter if you're not doing everything. Just pick a few of your core practices, like you're doing a Qigong form, and then you're doing 10, 15 minutes of sitting meditation practice. The important thing is that you're simply practicing every day. It's not what you're practicing, as long as you're consistently doing something, right? The internal immortal energy art specifically is I've structured it to be it's a bit more foundational. When you join the academy, you get there's different courses. There's a Qigong and Neigong course. That's the main one. There's a Qingyi course, Qingyi Chuan, which is a crazy powerful energy cultivation system, Tai Chi, medical Qigong. But for each course, there's one video lesson that unlocks per week. So you have like one 15 to 20 minute practice that you do for that week. And then we kind of build from there and there. So it's very, slowly foundational. But in general, it's like, if you want to advance the stuff, you have to practice regularly, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours a day, whatever time you have, right? It doesn't matter that you're not doing every single practice daily. It's just you're doing something to consistently develop your qi and develop that mind-body connection. That's the important thing. Is CBD good for sex? I don't know. I personally, I've taken CBD several times. I don't really notice a whole lot from it, honestly, but a lot of people swear by it. They say it releases their anxiety and stress and stuff. So, if you suffer from anxiety and stress, and if CBD helps you with that, then if you suffer from anxiety during sex, then sure, it could help you. I don't have much experience in that area, CBD and sex, but it could help. Hormones atrophying situations for everybody. If you are 4 months without ejaculating and won't have sex in the next months, is it preferable to ejaculate by myself or to not ejaculate at all? So again, it comes down to listening to your own body. Do you feel good in your retention cycle? If you feel good, that's great. You can keep going. If you start to feel like you're becoming stagnant, hormones are on the decline, things like that, then have a conscious ejaculation if you want. It might restart the system. I had one student who he was retaining for like a year and his sex drive was non-existent. He said he ejaculated and it came back, right? So this is the thing. It's about balance. It's obviously ejaculating consistently is harmful. I talk about it all the time, but trying to go the rest of your life without ejaculating can be harmful as well. It has an energetic function. The energetic function of ejaculation is to clear, to release the old. Obviously, if you're doing that every day, you're depleting yourself. But after a month, 2 months, whatever time period you want, that can kind of be like a new cycle to start and get your hormonal system kind of kicked into overdrive when that happens sometimes. Again, you have to experiment with yourself and see what works. Any advice how to deal with sexual shame or sexual repression? This is what keeps bringing me back to masturbating to porn. Most people do have some degree of sexual shame. We have this really weird relationship with sex, in our society. It's like it's everywhere in the media, it's everywhere in movies, porn, so easily available. But at the same time, it's very repressed. It's like there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt about it. So it leads to a lot of confusion in us, What I found helpful in this is any type of kind of holistic healing therapy, right? For me, it's my Qigong practice, my meditation practice, where I'm going within, correcting the energy flows of my body, releasing these patterns that aren't serving me, patterns of shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, whatever from my past, releasing these, I do that through internal energy practice. It's very efficient for me. So that might be helpful. Maybe seeing a Reiki practitioner, a counselor, something. There's many avenues of how to go about this, right? And sexual repression. And I think the main thing, drawing you back to porn is that there's nothing, the first thing is that there's nothing unhealthy about sex, sexual pleasure, even yourself pleasuring. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, right? Obviously doing that to porn causes all kinds of mental, emotional, brain chemistry dysfunctions as well. But the problem isn't sexual pleasure. The problem is when you're ejaculating frequently, right? So when you develop this new connection to your body, this new connection to your sexuality, where ejaculation is no longer the end goal, because it becomes this kind of instant gratification. Like, okay, I masturbate myself, overstimulate myself so I can quickly ejaculate, release my stress and tension, but then you feel like shit afterwards, right? So changing your approach to that is, how do I use my sexual experience and turn that into something that nourishes me? Cultivate your sexual energy versus, have this unconscious, being controlled by it. Learn to cultivate that sexual energy. Learn to experience pleasure in a holistic way. Learn to generate a charge of arousal energy, move that through your body, harness it, store it in your Johnathan, store it in wherever in the body, and it will completely rewire your experience of sex. When you no longer associate orgasm with ejaculation, it changes everything. Was this difficult to implement the practice into having sex with a partner for the first time? Honestly, no, it was pretty effortless, because I've been training pretty hard for several months, and the first time I got to go on stage with it, we could say, right? Dance with someone else. It was pretty effortless, honestly. Some of the other times, there was some hiccups, oh, okay, you start to learn. It's a bit different when you're with a partner, obviously, right? So it becomes another aspect of the training, but it's an enjoyable experience. Yeah, you're going to ejaculate here and there. It's not a big deal. The overall goal is one of mastery, and you learn from each experience, and overall it develops it, more and more for you. So Kung Fu is a discipline. It's a lifestyle. It's training, practicing every day. You're going to take some punches in the face. You're going to fall back down a few steps. But the important thing is you're on the right path. You're training every day. You're overall on this upward path of growth. Do I use wax in my hair? What I put in my hair is a product I make myself. I think it's 2 parts beeswax, 3 parts coconut oil mixed with like a couple of tablespoons of bentonite clay. I put some essential oils in there, melt it all together, and that's my hair product. I made it myself because it's hard to find things at the store that, you know, aren't full of toxic chemicals. Okay, some advice for hair loss. There's many factors to hair loss. Some people it's just genetic. There's nothing they can do. But I will say that I had a friend who was going bald. He was balding, losing his hairline. He started practicing semen retention and making some other changes to his life because he was super stressed, you know. So he started eating healthier. He's practicing semen retention, you know, meditating, and his hair started to grow back. He regained his hair. So, you know, there can be a factor there. Reducing stress from your life, eating healthy. Don't eat, you know, foods. Don't eat fried foods. Don't eat processed foods. Clean water, unfluoridated, unchlorinated water. Reduce stress in your life. Meditate. Have some nourishing foods. Practice semen retention, and maybe that'll help your hair. No promises, but it can help. The semen energy can help me with depersonalization and derealization disorder through right breathing. I'm not completely familiar with those disorders. You know, you have to be careful. You know, if you have mental disorders, you know, mental illnesses, you know, you want to work with a qualified practitioner who specializes in those kinds of things. But overall, again, this mind-body connection, internal energy training, the body and the mind are very connected. So when you have these, you know, unprocessed traumas, energetic blockages within the body, they start to affect your mind. So that's why I love Qigong practice. I love internal energy practices, because you learn to move these blockages from your body in a systematic way, and you start to naturally feel better and more harmonious. So try, you know, go on my YouTube channel, my Qigong playlist, follow my recent Qigong routine on there. Try doing that every day. Just notice what happens. You know, start meditating. And healthy diet, you know, don't eat toxic chemical-filled foods and things like that. Okay, what do you do with your sperm to protect yourself metaphysically? Bury it, burn it. Definitely not mix it into the septic system. You know, you can give it to nature. If you can, one of my teachers recommends to eat it. When it's time for me to ejaculate during sex, I give it to my partner. So, you know, yeah, you can make kind of a ceremony out of it, whatever. Can you tell us more about the legendary prostate massage? Yeah, so I made a video talking about prostate orgasms. And it's not so much a prostate massage the way you think about it, where it's like something active. You know, my experience with this has been, I use a prostate massaging tool. It's called an Aneros, Aneros, and you simply insert it in there, and you lay on the ground and relax all of your muscles in your body. I spend like 20 to 30 minutes just relaxing, which is another great way to release pelvic floor tension, is using one of these, because you become very aware of when you're tightening, you know, when you have a prostate massager in. And after 20, 30 minutes, you start to engage the mind. What I do is engage the mind in the prostate area. You have to hold your awareness there, generate arousal. So use a bit of fantasy, whatever. And that's the main method, is simply having awareness on this area and generating feelings of arousal, and you'll start to amplify this. You'll start to get this really pleasurable sensation there. You can also experiment with kind of squeezing the pelvic floor muscles and relaxing them very slightly, holding a slight squeeze. And that's basically it. You know, you do this, it can take, for me, it took about 90 minutes, almost 2 hours to get into the full body orgasm state. And this was after, you know, literally years of trying this. It took me a few years actually to get to the super O prostate orgasm state, but you know, my training was pretty sporadic in it. So, yeah, that's my experience with that. You can go to the Aneros forum. It's like aneros.com, Aneros. They have a forum where lots of people explain the methods. I'm not an expert in prostate orgasms. Again, it's been a recent experience for me, but you can find more there. What was the most difficult or offensive comment you have received by people who hate semen retention lifestyle? I don't remember, honestly. Usually when there's negative comments, like, yeah, whatever. Or if it's something, an argument or something, I'll respond to my whatever information I have to share. But I don't know. I don't remember, honestly. I don't get too many trolls, which is good. Best grocery store for healthy food? It's probably going to vary wherever you're at. The best thing is to get local grown foods that are organic. Like if you have a farmer's market or something like that, you can get like local organic produce and like animal products. That's the best way to go, because the energy came from a nearby environment, right? It's from the land that you live in. So you're connected with the energy of your land. It's in your food. That's the best thing to do. There's where I live, there's a Whole Foods, it's close to my house. So it's convenient. I go there a lot, but there's also it's like a co-op nearby, lots of local produce there. I go there. Natural grocers is one of my favorites as well. With your energetic practices, have you reached a level of mind control where you can raise and lower your blood pressure at will and other body functions? To some extent, yeah. It's not like I can be like, oh, blood pressure up, heartbeat down, just by thinking it, and it happens 5 seconds. But in general, if I'm feeling, a lot of like this uprising energy, I'm feeling overstimulated, I do a meditation practice, and probably in 10 to 20 minutes, I'm in a very, very deep, like maybe even like theta state, some really, really, really deep, slow, calm state, right? So overall, I have a pretty good mind-body connection, I would say, but I'm still training and improving that. Have you tried Wim Hof breathing? If so, what did you think of it? Yeah, I've done Wim Hof breathing. It's great. It's powerful. It gets you high. Yeah, it's fine. I teach a lot of similar practices in my course. Actually, this is very interesting. So I teach a practice which I call transformational breath work. I learned this almost 10 years ago, before Wim Hof stuff was a big deal. And it's a very extended breath work practice. You do it for a long period of time. Someone in my course recently, they monitored I think it was like their blood oxidation or something throughout this breathwork session, because they had been doing the Wim Hof method, and they found that this practice I teach in my 6-week course is actually more efficient based on their direct levels of blood, their oxygen in their blood or whatever. They found it was more efficient than Wim Hof method. So that was very interesting, right? But yeah, overall, Wim Hof breathing, it's great. It's limited, like how deep you can actually go with it. But if you're not doing anything else, yeah, it's going to be really, really great for you. Okay, do you recommend any tips on dissolving jaw tension patterns? This is a common one. Yeah, jaw tension. The important thing to realize is that when you're having a tension pattern in your body, it can be triggered by deeper kind of physiological or deeper mental tensions, emotional tensions, different things, right? So this tension in your jaw might be manifesting, do you have a lot of stress in your life? Is there some certain thing that triggers you, right? So it's best to get down into the roots of what's really causing these tension patterns you experience. But having said that, practice just having awareness of this area of your body, noticing throughout the day, oh, yep, I'm tensing it up, let's relax it. And a technique I like to use to release tension from the body is, so you feel that area of your body, you absorb, like we're working with the jaw now, you absorb your mind into it. And it's like your mind's liquid and it's absorbing into a sponge. So fill your jaw with your mind. And then you feel like the muscles, the tendons, everything, you feel like they're melting. It's like you're getting your mind soaked into there. I feel like it's melting and dissolving. As you're breathing in a relaxed way, it's just melting and dissolving, almost like an ice cube melting into water and then dissolving into steam, right? So just awareness and working with it over time. When is the next workshop? My 6-week course opens for registration again in April. Once the world opens up a bit more, I want to start doing some in-person, retreats, workshops, things like that. Okay, how did your Kundalini awakening change you as a person? Did it affect your social life in a positive way? Well, it completely changed the course of my life. Completely changed who I am and where I was going in my life. At the time I was 19. I was, I was mowing lawns in the day. I was playing in a band. I was a musician full-time. Well, not full-time, but not yet full-time. But anyways, I was playing in a band, just kind of, I'd party every weekend, drink alcohol, smoke weed every day. Just kind of, the rock and roll lifestyle, whatever. And then I had this Kundalini awakening, where I was at one with the universe. I understood the meaning of life and saw that we were all like cells in a cosmic organism. And like had this like just this orgasmic, spiritual cosmic orgasm experience that just completely shifted my life. And it was like, wow, that is a very different perception of reality than I ever imagined. It's like, how do I get back into that state, right? And that's what really led me to practice. I started practicing yoga, meditation, which is like, I know there's something to these, these Eastern practices. They're trying to get into these enlightened states because that's what I experienced. So, and started practicing Qigong, the Taoist practices, internal alchemy. So it completely changed who I am. And as far as my, you asked, how did it affect my social life? I mean, in a lot of different ways. It's not like, it wasn't like a drastic change in my social life. Like I still hung out with some of the same people for a while, but what really changed is like, I started, I was just kind of coming on a different level. I started becoming interested in different things and I started losing interest in a lot of the old things. So, a lot of friendships kind of fell away, but new ones came into place. So it's like, it's kind of a natural evolution, right? When you start to change who you are, you start to change who you're surrounded with. The people you're around are always a reflection of who you are. So I don't know. That's something that I experienced, I guess. Do I follow Aaron? I'm not sure how to say his name. Aaron Doty's work. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. I know who he is. I've watched a couple of his videos. It's not really I'm more about like, okay, what's a system I can train in to make it happen, right? But he shares a lot of good information for sure. Okay, can I do the live sessions earlier so we can participate without losing sleep? Well, unfortunately, this is when I can do the lives, but I have replays on my YouTube channel, so you can watch the replay on my YouTube channel anytime. They often go into my podcast as well now. Do you find one chakra center is more powerful than another? Well, ideally, they all be balanced in equal power, just different expressions of energy, right? But usually, some area of your body is going to have more energy in it than the other. Like your root's stronger, your grounding is strong, you're very embodied, but you kind of struggle to kind of elevate and go up to the spiritual realms. I had the opposite problem. My upper centers were very, very online, but my lower centers were like, I was like, what's Earth? What's this third dimensional reality? What? I'm up here in, Pluto. That was me for a long period of time. And so now I'm like, harmonize everything, the full spectrum, all octaves of from the, the most base primal experience to the highest cosmic expansion. When you have all these things aligned equally versus trying to escape to the higher realms, or versus being overly stuck in the material realms. Oh, I need a car, I need a girlfriend and a nice house. That's all. You're not getting the full human experience. The full human experience is all these things in balance and harmony with each other, in my opinion. Okay, my Instagram feeds can go down a couple minutes, but I might go back on if I'm still going here. Okay, can you speak on the power of semen retention / energy cultivation magnetism? Yeah, so when you practice semen retention and simultaneously when you're practicing energy cultivation, you're building your chi, you're building this gene, this, primal sexual vitality. And this starts to radiate into your aura, starts to feed your aura. You have more energy, it raises your vibration, you're vibrating at a higher level, you have more life force, you have more juice, you shine a lot brighter than other people who are mostly living in a depleted state on this planet under hypnosis of a television screen, right? So yeah, you become very magnetic because people are around you and you're just, most people just aren't in this state. Most people are in a depleted, depressed, brainwashed, they're not in control of their own mind and their own thoughts and their energy in their body. So when you walk around the world and you are embodying mastery, you're radiating energy because you're in control of your sexual energy, you're cultivating your chi, you're shining like a sun. And people are like, what's this guy doing? I'm going to hang out with him. So yeah, it's very, very real. And I don't believe in getting into an egotistical way about this. I'm not like, yeah, I'm better than everyone else. It's not that. There's always someone who has a higher level. We're just kind of here in planetary kindergarten on Earth, right? So it's easy to feel like you're on a higher level, but be humble about it and just understand that we're all on our own paths. We are where we're at. We all have lessons to learn. About to lose my Instagram feed. No, I do not come. Let me bring the Instagram feed back up. So yeah, there's a very powerful conjunction with cultivating your energy, cultivating your sexual energy, and being more magnetic, more influential. But use this with mindfulness. This is why ideally you're refining your emotional, spiritual nature so that you don't become an egotistical maniac, which a lot of people do doing this work. Okay. All right, I'm back on Instagram. Lost the feed there. Okay, so there was a question that popped up before I lost the Instagram feed. Someone asked, do I come from a wealthy background? Oh yeah, there it is. Do I come from a wealthy background? No, not really. I grew up on a farm in a small town in Idaho. I'm a farmer's son. We didn't have, much money. I couldn't even afford to go to college, when I graduated from high school. And whatever I have now, I built for myself. Yet there's this pattern of lack in my family. Like my parents would always say, this is too expensive, that's too expensive, no money for that. And I really identified with this for, really till a few years ago. It's like, nope, I can't afford that. I can't afford this. I'm just broke, I'm just a farmer. And so that was a huge pattern for me to break through. Like, no, there's abundant, the universe is abundance. If I have something to give to the world, it will cause an equal exchange. And I was able to manifest, a pretty cool life for myself. Why do people seem intimidated by me when on semen retention? Well, are you being intimidating? Are you like trying to intimidate people? Are you being overly aggressive? It depends. Is your ego under control? Are you being excessively, dominating to people? There could be many reasons, or maybe just have a powerful masculine presence and people are like, oh, this guy's too powerful. I don't know. It could be many reasons. Do you use any techniques to release creation and emotions throughout the day? I'm not sure what you mean by release creation, but I think you mean like inner emotions, like releasing negative emotions. I do have practices that help to clear negative emotions from the body that I use. Have I reached the awakening experience again? Yes, I've been able to, several times get back in these higher states of kind of cosmic consciousness, right? Which is really the whole goal, like why I got into energy cultivation practices, specifically meditation, internal alchemy, is because you can get into these very, very deep, expanded states of consciousness without, having to take a drug or something, which is how I got there in the first place, right? I ate some magic mushrooms, had this like crazy Kundalini awakening, and couldn't get there again with the drugs, right? So I had to go the organic route and be able to anchor that. And when you can ground, this is why I like the Taoist systems. I've studied and I practice a lot of different systems, but the Taoist practices specifically, they create a foundation for you to be able to hold high cosmic energy, because it's like if you don't have a root, if you don't have a container, which a lot of systems go straight to spiritual work, but you have nothing to hold those energies with, you fall back down to earth. The Taoist practice is you root like a tree, you build yourself up in years of building the lower centers first, but when you do get to that ethereal work, you can contain that powerful cosmic energy and these heightened states of consciousness without falling back down. Okay, wet dreams every week. 2 wet dreams every week. How can I stop it? Most common causes of wet dreams: excessive unresolved sexual desire. So if you're like, I really want to have sex, I'm having all these sexual thoughts and fantasies and not bringing that to completion in some way, and then going to bed, then your subconscious is like, hey, let's get it on. Let's have an orgasm. That's what happens. So being mindful of your thoughts, your obsessions, and working with the microcosmic orbit to move energy throughout your body to disperse that sexual energy upward, to use it to nourish the rest of your body instead of just building up here, causing all these sexual thoughts. Getting too hot at night is another cause. Like if you sleep in a room, you have like a heavy blanket on, or it gets hot in your room, for whatever reason, this causes a wet dream. Do I hope to develop telekinesis, telepathy, pyrokinesis one day? I mean, sure, I would love to. I'm not really trying very hard. It's like you see these telekinesis videos where people are like moving a piece of paper, and it's like, okay, move like something that weighs more than nothing, and maybe I'll be impressed, right? But sure, if I would be happy to be able to move things around with my mind, but I'm more focused on my staying balanced in this world, and having radiant health and vitality and everything. Do I implement mantras into my practice? Not really. I used to use mantras in the past, but I currently don't really use them right now. Okay, guys, just a few more questions and I'm going to end this. Having a lot of success with retention, but I'm having trouble feeling pleasure. Any recommendations? Well, you have to practice feeling pleasure. Have some sort of pleasure practice, right? Maybe it's a self-pleasuring practice. Do things you enjoy. Find pleasurable things to spend your time doing. So you really have to cultivate it, right? Releasing tension from your body, tension from your mind, so you can be more open to the present and what you're feeling may help you to develop this. During erections, the glans and corpus spongiosum does not get erected. It's only erected after physical stimulation. Is that normal? It's fairly normal for a man to require like physical stimulation to become erect, but if you're with a partner, ideally when you're like, connecting, kissing, foreplay, whatever, hopefully that's enough to excite you, right? If not, then it may be some, excessive stimulation patterns or things like that. But at least you can get erect. Some people can't, right? So make sure your diet's good. Make sure lost my feed there. Make sure your diet's good. You're getting enough sleep, and all these things. What techniques or practice helps you become more grounded? Yeah, for me, grounding, I have a whole practice on grounding. It's called Zhanzhuan. It's a standing meditation practice. And you basically release tension, it's like your body's melting down. You release into the earth and it sinks your energy into the earth, and the earth's energy fills up your body. You can feel it happen. And when you really, really master the state, this is really the foundation for Tai Chi. When someone pushes on you, they can't even move you because it's called Peng Jing. This earth energy fills the body. So that's a practice I use, but also like walking barefoot on the earth, feeling your feet on the earth, really feeling your lower body is grounding, or just having some sort of physical activity that you really enjoy doing. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's like playing a musical instrument. It really gets you in that moment, gets you in the present, pulls everything to the here and now. Breath work, there's a lot of different ways to do it. When you practice tantric sex, do you naturally stop seeking casual sex? It's going to depend on the person. There's some, I've met some tantra masters who were definitely seeking a lot of casual sex, under the guise of, it's spiritual tantric sex with, lots of random people. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's good to, not have this excuse on things, right? For some people, once they experience the tantric connection, they won't want to go back to the old way. Some people will go back to the old way. It's, I can say that I've been at various stages with it in my own journey, but it's going to depend on you and your own experience. How does fasting relate to your sexual practices, if at all? Fasting is a tool that can be good. Some people go a little excessive with it. Like you see these guys who look like they're on the edge of, they're like skin and bone, and they're like, yeah, you got to fast every day. And it's like, you can do too much fasting, right? I've had different experiences with fasting. I used to do intermittent fasting for a long time, but I eventually gave it up because it just wasn't the best for my body. So, I don't really teach anything about fasting. If this is something you want to experiment with, that's great. There's an abundance of material of people teaching fasting, so I don't really touch on it very much. But for some people it works, for some people it's not a good idea. There's no one certain thing that's great for everyone. Hey, Justin, glad you found it helpful. Okay, Matthew, I'm looking for a 40 to 50 minute routine, including Qigong, breathworks, and other practices. What would you put into it for beginners? So 40 to 50 minutes. So do 20 minutes of start with like 10 minutes of breath work, whatever breath work practice you're doing, do that for 10 minutes. Then do Qigong for 20 minutes, like a Qigong flow. I've got several on my YouTube channel. And then I would recommend doing like a sitting meditation practice, building the Dantian practice, which is the foundation, or the microcosmic orbit. Yeah, that'd be a solid 40 to 50 minute session. Yeah, lower Dantian is important. I made a video on this recently, how to build lower Dantian breathing. So watch that, practice that every day, and you will build your lower Dantian. Hey, Randall, glad it's helpful. Okay. Okay, let's talk a little more about the Angion method. So this is a method I've been promoting. It's an incredible practice for developing the blood vessels in the penis. You can find the guy who's talking about it. He has an entire YouTube channel devoted to it. So just look up Angion method, Angion, and you can learn more about it from him. He nerds out on the physiology of it all, and I'm just like, okay, it's a method. You do it, it works. That's good enough for me. I'm pretty practical with this stuff. Does George, glad you're enjoying the 6-week course. Okay, do I recommend ejaculating never at all or every once in a while? Yeah, so I'm not an extremist. I'm not saying you should never ejaculate ever. This isn't going to be beneficial for most men because, again, it can cause stagnance, and I think it's a good idea to clear out the prostate every now and then. So you have to find the part the cycle that works for you. For me, it's once every 4 to 6 weeks during sexual release. For you, it might be longer, it might be shorter. Again, over 7 years I've been doing this. I've experimented with different intervals, and in the past, longer was better for me. But things have changed in my body, and as my practice has evolved, this is what works best for me. So, find what works best for you. You know that you are not going long enough if you ejaculate and then you feel completely wiped out, fatigued, exhausted, and drained. But you know that it might be going too long if you're like, well, if your hormones, if you feel like there's different situations. You may feel like there's the deficiency where your endocrine system's kind of atrophying, your hormones are dropping, you feel like you're losing your sexual, drive and things like that. That could be a good time to reset it. Or also if you feel like you have too much, you're in excess, you're overly obsessed with sex, even though you're transmuting your energy, you just can't stop thinking about it. You feel this pressure built up in your genitals. You're extremely, extremely sensitive during sex. So this can be a good time to release as well. So it's like you learn to listen to your body and what it actually needs. We love to be in our heads about the stuff, be like, oh, I know everything, but the body's like, no, this is actually not working for me. So if you learn to listen to your body, it will always tell you what is best. Spilling my tea here. After how many days of this practice can I feel results, and what would they be? It's going to vary for everyone. In general, you'll feel results after the practice. Do you feel more calm? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel more in the flow? That's great. So, it's going to be different results for everyone. Does visualization help on things like the lower Dantian or Qigong or microcosmic orbit? It can help, but it should not be primary. If you're approaching these practices primarily as a visualization, you're going to have very limited results because visualization comes from the head. And if you're just doing the practice from your head, the body's kind of left out. You're not actually moving the chi. This is a lot of systems are visual based practices, and I found them overall ineffective compared to the deeper body awareness, like actually feeling the body. It's called Ting Jin, listening energy, where you're feeling actually, this kinesthetic awareness and moving the chi that way, because you have the chi flowing because you feel it. It's tangible. It takes some practice to build it, to get it to be tangible, but that's how you know you're on the right path. So if you start with the lower dantian building practice that I shared recently on my YouTube, if you do that every day, you're going to start feeling it. It's tangible. It feels like this hot, bubbling liquid, electrical field in your belly. It's your lower dantian. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Always good hanging out with you guys. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, great weekend. I will see you same time next week. Take it easy, guys.